Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to today's live stream. Please tell me, how is the loudness, sightlessness? Do you have any echoes? Do you have any issues with sound? Let's begin today's live stream. We haven't done this in a while. Guys, I'm so happy to talk to you today. Finally, we're gonna have the time to answer all of your questions, whatever you're gonna ask. We're gonna try volume up, please. Let's see if I will be able to do volume up. I'm not sure I will be able to do volume up. I think the only way for me to do volume up is to just yell louder. But it seems that the sound is like 50-50. Like for someone is people is a little bit too silent. Sorry about that. But other people is gonna be fine. I'll try to speak into the microphone and maybe just a little bit more louder than usual. Guys, let's start by doing one thing that is super important for anyone that has ever joined the live stream, which is to thank the moderating team specifically, because while I'm obviously the face of this channel, there is incredible amount of work that is being done by people of the moderating team and the news team as well. This time we have the new update. As you know, the channel has changed a little bit the way that it delivers content, and I'm able to do it and do some other things only because there are people that are contributing their time and their effort, and I want to, from the bottom of my heart, say thank you so much for all of your efforts. And I would like to ask you all to give a hand for all of the people in the moderating team and our news team. Let's talk about stuff. Guys, there is a Q&A section where you can ask your questions, and I will try answering those questions as we go along. We haven't done this in a while, so I'm not expecting a lot of people this time. So I will be also answering questions in just regular chat. We will just gonna have a very nice, good old conversation about the things that are happening in Ukraine and around it. And I think the biggest thing that is right now is from the front line. I didn't want to do frontline today because a lot of people asked for it, but I believe that we're truly then getting a bit derailed about the, I don't want to say importance of the frontline, because frontline is important as it is always the thing that decides what the war and political landscape looks like. But in this sense, if we pay too much attention, then we start looking at every single settlement that Russia is taking. But when we look at the big picture, for example, half a year later, when we were digging in for half a year for every settlement that Russia is taking, and then we're like, oh my God, Russia is advancing everywhere. But then at the end of the year, you see it's barely a percent of Ukrainian territory. Now, I know war is not linear. It is not like this, but compared to everything that Ukraine had to go through this year, it is actually quite incredible just how little Russia was able to achieve. Russell Whiskey is saying that his video is buffering. I like, guys, if your video is also buffering, if it's spitting, I'm very sorry, but this is how it is. I'm checking the connections. I'm not dropping any frames. My connection is stable. Everything seems to be fine. If you cannot watch it, I'm sorry. Then you'll please join me in the recording. So let's go. So let's start with the questions, because I feel that we haven't spoken in good like 2-3 months. So if not less, if not more, I don't remember. And we will start answering some of your inquiries, whether in normal chat or the questions chat. Question chat is obviously easy for me to read. Cornelis Zandbergen, or casualties soar again from 900 to 1,000 a day. What are the reasons for this? So first and foremost, we need to understand what happened. Why did they drop? There's two reasons why they dropped. Because if you remember, around the mid-year, there was like around 2,000 reported casualties. So the first thing that happened is that Russia changed tactics. At the start of the year, they were using the more of this armored column type of attacks towards Ukrainian positions, and this led to a lot of casualties every single day on the Russian side. they've changed the tactic to use these small groups where they would advance by using 1, 2, 3 people, and then they will try to essentially penetrate Ukrainian positions as deep as possible. It is harder for the FPV drones to strike individual soldiers rather than a big column. So it's just the nature of the operations. It takes a lot of time for a drone, an FPV drone, to use one drone to strike a target, then to get another drone prepared and then ready to launch. It can take anywhere from 8 to 20 minutes. So it could take a little bit of time. So when there is just a lot of these smaller units, it's harder for Ukrainian FPV defense to work adequately and destroy everything. Second option, second reason is in Ukraine, they introduced a new way of reporting. So they now required the FPV drone strike teams, which do the majority of damage, to verify what they're reporting. If before the start of the year, basically the FPV units would say, oh, we killed this many Russians, we destroyed this many vehicles, we did all of this, and then they would basically say, good job, good for you. But now, because in Ukrainian military, they gamify the system, so now for every hit vehicle, for every destroyed Russian, you get these E-points. And for these E-points, you're able to order yourself new drones, or you're able to order yourselves new technical solutions, communication systems, and basically supplement your units to do more. So if you do more, you will do more. But the problem with that is, for a lot of these units, that it was not enough anymore to just report who they hit. It was now requiring a visual confirmation. So now you couldn't just say, we just destroyed 10 Russians. Well, now if you report 10 Russians destroyed, then a lot of these Russians also need to be verified by some kind of a verification tool, usually a secondary drone that is observing this situation. This very significantly cut down a lot of the reported numbers, because obviously we needed to understand that there was a bit of cooking of numbers on Ukrainian side. That's just how it is. It all accumulated overall correctly, because was also some undercooking by certain other units, but still it did create this weird paradox that there is now bigger requirement on how you can report casualties from Ukrainian side. So they became a lot more accurate. And thirdly, a lot less wounded Russians. We talked about the numbers that were leaked by the Ukrainian command about the number of Russians. So because Russians stopped really being wounded and lightly wounded, like for example, that you would scatter, I don't know, artillery system with cluster munitions, and then you would hit like a number of Russians, and then a lot of them will be wounded, and then maybe they would be taken out. Now FPV drones are striking Russians, and we see that ratios are pretty much 1-to-1. 1 dead Russian for 1 wounded, which is horrific. It's an absolutely disgusting ratio. Like that is not sustainable in any reasonable army. It's like, but thankfully Russians are like below any kind of reasonability, so they're just okay with them being killed, and they're just like okay, and just go forward to their deaths, which is fine. So that's 3 reasons why the count jumped back to from 1,400 to about 900 per day. Now it's risen to about 1,000 a day. So what we need to always look for when the number rises, that means activity of Russians has increased, because there has not been major change in Ukrainian strike capabilities, tactical strike capabilities on the front line. So when I see increase in numbers on the front line, that means one thing and one thing only, that Russians are coming more often in larger quantities. Recent couple of days, Russians restarted some of the attacks as armored columns. So we saw a little bit of Russian frying inside of these vehicles once again. We're going to cover it at some point when I'm going to do the frontline update. So I hope this open answer kind of covers all of the bases with that question. Mark is asking, how do you love how much do you love your moderating team? They are the second best after my wife. There we go. Sir Shum, thank you so much for being a member for 7 months. Appreciate it. Ukraine will win. Ukraine переможе. Absolutely agree. Russell Whiskey, thank you so much for being a member for 28 months. Appreciate it. And sorry that you're having troubles with the stream. Antonius Pius, thank you so much for $100. Really appreciated so much, my friend. Okay. Cornelis Zandbergen, Defense Express suggests the Polish S-125 Neva SC can intercept ballistic missiles in Ukraine. What's your take also about IRIS-T and other non-Patriot interceptions of ballistic weapons? Yeah, I saw that article just recently. To be honest, like, it sounds fantastic. Like, I mean, so let's put it this way. Russians, there has been an article stating that Russians have been trying to adapt their ballistic missiles so the ballistic missiles can maneuver on their approach trajectory. So essentially trying to not just fall down at the high speed like a ballistic missile. You know, ballistic missile goes up and then kind of falls down on the ballistic trajectory. Now Russians apparently try to put some kind of engines or something that allows to navigate and move that ballistic missile off the ballistic trajectory. And my working theory, and this is like, again, I have no data, this is pure speculation, is that potentially this Russian tampering with some of these ballistic missiles, like the Kinzhal that is supposedly has been intercepted, the air-launched ballistic missile of Russia, that I think that they're tampering and they're like putting those effects, trying to get those ballistic missiles to do things that they were not supposed to, is allowing other things to interact with them, because it's very hard to interact with ballistic missiles. You need like very powerful radars and you need pretty powerful missiles so they're able to intercept these ballistic missiles. So that is my pure speculation, but I don't know. But like on a face of it, sounds pretty fantastical, but then again, we've seen some pretty fantastical things happen in this war. Oh, wait, sorry, it's a product placement. I need to. How do you do product placement? Like, I'm such a bit. Like, there we go. There we go. Paul Unfiltered, when do you think the war will end? Oh, that's a very open question. So there is a lot of ways how we can attack it. Like, we can start philosophically asking you and me, like, what does the end of war looks like, right? So like, what is the goal that we want to achieve? So for me, the proper end of the war is the destruction of Putin regime and victory of Ukraine. So reparations and trials for war criminals. That is the proper just end of the war. That end of the war might never come. Like, there might be like ceasefire and so on, but that end of the war might never come because, you know, we've seen plenty of people trying to give Russia any and all leeways. There's still so much Russia simping in the Western world that it's really disgusting, but that's unfortunately true. So in that sense, what kind of end of a war? If we're talking about just end in general, like end of hostilities, well, then we might look at something like maybe if all things stay the same in 2-3 years, because Russia has definitely enough resources. Ukraine is growing their capabilities, and they will be overtaking Russia. But Ukraine still needs a couple of years to fully tap into that potential. So I would not expect for the next 2-3 years to Russia to be brought to negotiating table. But then we might look at some broader aspects, like political, economic aspects. You know, the pressure that Ukraine is exerting on Russian oil industry, the general pressure that is coming on Russia, the willingness of Europeans to invest into Ukrainian and put sanctions and stop buying oil and potentially even put pressure on India and potentially even China. We can get maybe to that. So then we can see that potentially already next year, Russia will definitely not be in a position to continue this war in any kind of capable scenario. So it's a broad question. There's a lot of different answers depending on what you want. I can dig into any one of them, but then I will need a specific scenario from you. Cornelis Anbergen, you made a firm stand against any traditional suggestion of offensive due to the total drone control. You're still on that page, and we have to avoid the O word. No. I've kind of like looked at how Russia is now using their these armored vehicles, and I've read through where Russia had success. So there are options. There are two major issues with drone control that one needs to overcome. There is the preparation stage, and there is the execution stage. And then we can go into the classical challenges. So to put it like this, offensive action is one of the most difficult maneuver that military can do. It's really difficult, especially if we're talking about complex scenario like attacking fortified enemy positions. But there is a caveat to there as to that there's potentially not as much fortified specifically positions on both sides anymore. So that is point number one. But the challenges of offensive still stand. So how does one execute offensive? All of the classical things and classical works on how to overcome. You can watch videos on how to execute offensive. All of that is still valid. Those are valid questions. But then there is the question of drones, which was specifically the drones just became too prevalent. But now there have appeared certain countermeasures against the drone warfare. The first part is the preparation stage. So to do armored offensive push, one would need to amass a number of armored vehicles at certain relatively close locations, because you need mass to break through. So you need to have a lot of armored vehicles amassed. And the problem with that is that there's enough of long-range strike drones that you really cannot suppress, but you can really apply a lot of pressure on the surveillance drones whatsoever. So preparation stage can be prepared by using heavily anti-long-range surveillance and strike drone teams. You need to close the skies over specific sector. That will not prevent the enemy to not be prepared, because like that's a red flag, right? Someone on the front line suddenly closes a part of the front line for any and all airframes. Shit, that might be something bad. So there is that. So the time is critical. Then you need to get the vehicles in place and be prepared and ready. And your drone operator units need to work non-stop. First, interceptor drones absolutely clearing the skies essentially above ourselves. Stage number 2, the execution. The drone anti-air units must move forward and take out the enemy eyes that is over the part of the operational zone that you want to be attacking into. And there needs to be secondary units, the drone hunter units. So it is drones and drone operators either on fiber optic cables or electronic warfare resistant drones. And they need to be a lot of those, like a lot of those. They need to find out, and this is where intelligence is crucial, to find out enemy drone operator positions and strike these drone operator positions. And more importantly, it needs to be a combined campaign together with artillery, where you will try to suppress and essentially make as many enemy drone operators unable to perform their tasks, to launch drones, to get supplies, to essentially do anything besides sitting in his hole. That's the only way. And this needs to be continuously ongoing, non-stop. This is like a full cycle, so you need a lot of drones for that. And number three, the execution on the front line. Here you can have multiple options. Option number one, concealment. So you need to have conditions, either deep forests, which is pretty good, or it needs to be fog, which is also like thick fog creates pretty much unpassable campaign for a lot of drones. There are drones with thermal cameras that are able to go through fog, but those are rare, and those are, again, hopefully you're able to find out how to disable those. And again, they cannot be used en masse so far. And option number three, maybe smoke, some kind of a concealment machines. So you need these things to completely cover up the front line and battlefield. And this is just the kind of the starting stage. All of the other offensive things are still in place. So big offensives, I can clearly see how they would work. The problem with that, the problem with all of this is, as I've described this to you, you're like sitting and thinking, it's like, that's a lot of like very valuable units. You need to have like a lot of the drone operators. You need to have like a good coordination. This is a very difficult operation. It requires very high standards. And unfortunately, both Ukrainian military and Russian military don't have the mass necessary of these high quality troops. Ukraine is working on them, but they're still not there. So that's kind of like my open answer to what's the situation with the drone warfare. It is still the same that I said beforehand, but we've now kind of advanced. I've seen things tried out on the front line that works. Da-da-da-da-dum. Roger Allen says, do we know whether the Flamingo missiles have been used yet? Yes, they have been used. Cornelis, Russia has more mass production, Ukraine more innovation and flexibility. Does this make the balance, or does Ukraine has the edge? It's dynamic and changing, I guess. Yes and no. I mean, yes, Ukraine does have it, but scale still matters. That is why the model where stuff is going to be produced in countries in safer areas like Europe, where you can actually scale production, and I mean like mass factory scale, that's incredibly important. What is good, though, is that Ukraine is now slowly but surely reaching these plants that Russia thought are completely safe. So soon Russia will have troubles with scalability as well. Mass production, yeah. Zachnor84G, what do you think of the frontline continue to evolve towards a no man's land of drone control zones backed up by a more quick reaction force? Yes, very much so. Shimura, with drones being everywhere at the front, where can Ukrainian armed forces best use tanks and AFVs? Quick response to Russian infiltration groups. I described the offensive operations. Elements of this can be used at the front line. Beyond that, tanks are used as indirect artillery. Infantry fighting vehicles are great. Like, they have, like, infantry fighting vehicles are being used all across the front line. They're super nice. They are still doing what they're supposed to do. They're protecting lives, and they're still important. And quick response groups is super relevant. I've talked plenty that Russians right now are attacking with basically light units and almost no heavy weapons, and this is prime targets for any armored vehicles. Awesome HPT, is there any sign that Russia is running short of men considering the losses they've taken? No. Kaimo, why did Putin admit to shooting down the Azerbaijani plane? Why does he claim he only recently learned about it? Does he really not know what's going on? No, of course he knows what is going on. He admitted it because he wants to essentially get back in good relationship with Azerbaijani dictator. It's two dictator power dynamics. Don't worry about it. I'll need coffee. Hi. Yeah, that's true. Gloppy Gopi, Georgie, what is the biggest threat from Russian? Shaheeds, gliding bombs, shellings, others. I mean, the biggest problem is the mass. That is the biggest. That's been the biggest problem since day one. Like, none of what Russia is doing is like, you know, by itself is the biggest threat, quote unquote. But the accumulation of it and the fact that it's being done en masse and constantly, that is the biggest issue. So the solutions that are provided by West is very, very, so far have been unscalable. Like, you know, Patriot missiles are pretty expensive and stuff. So I'm really happy to see that that we are moving towards more scalable, cheaper solutions. Joe the Dude, Pete Wilkes, sveiki, sveiki. The Grace 020, how screwed is Russia now? It feels like the timeline of Russia end is moving fast with all the organized they're doing. Oh yeah, I mean, definitely it's been escalating really fast. As I said, when we analyzed, for example, economic situation in Russia, we're expecting Russia to be in a position that it is now in at the end of 2026. That was the expectation, that at the end of 2026, we actually not even the situation that Russia is in right now, but let's say just at least maybe 70% of that. 70% of current position was expected at the end of 2026, and that was considered that's good scenario for Russia. But now it's like they are already in very, 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 very deep problems, and what's going to happen in 2026 is even more insane. Like inflation rates right now, the latest weekly inflation was, I believe, 0.23% in Russia. So all the talks Russia about conquering inflation completely out of the window. It is really bad for them. Their economy is going to be their biggest weakness. They really need a cash influx. And when I say cash influx, someone posted an article from that Qatar made an agreement with Russia to invest $1 billion. I'm sorry, but $1 billion doesn't cut it. Russia needs like many, many tens, if not hundreds of billions of dollars influx of funds. Shimra, if contract recruitment slows down enough, would Putin risk the very serious downside of another mobilization wave, or instead try something else like send more conscripts to war? Well, the conscripts are already being sent to war, so I don't cover this enough on the channel, and this is to be honest, I think I should, because no one else really covers it. Like a lot of the channels are focusing on a lot of the things that are happening within Ukraine or Western world. We don't really cover a lot what's happening in Russia, and I was considering that I need to do more of these events that are happening with Russian military. But for the conscripts, they're pretty much, it is a prime ground. Conscripts in Russia are pressured psychologically and physically. So either there's like beatings and like physical pressure, torture that is applied to them to sign the contract, or psychological, either motivation, where they essentially are brought every morning to watch propaganda news and just like it's called like 5 minutes of hate. And they watch about how Ukrainian banderas are just destroying the world and about to subjugate the glorious Russian population in the east that Russia has actually been destroying all these 3.5 years. And it's one of the most insane things that happened, that pro-Russian population. And I was like, okay, sorry, I need to talk very, very precisely here. The people from the pro-Russian areas that used to sympathize with Russia are now one of the biggest Russia haters in Ukraine. People that are still potentially speak Russian in Ukraine. Yeah, that's the thing. Then beyond that, the conscripts are just trying to be forced. Obviously, money. We've heard that if you sign contract, you get more money. So a lot of people are just being threatened, stated that's like, we're gonna send you as a conscript to the front line anyway, like we did in Kursk. So why would you go there, right? Just like that, you will just die for nothing. Instead, sign a contract. And they're still lying about contract. They're still telling everyone that the contract is for 1 year. Like, the problem with that is, like, there is an asterisk with the Russian contract for the military. You sign a 1 year contract, but there is a law that was signed by Putin with the mobilization that is still in force, by the way, that waives was it waves away or waivers away? I forgot the word. Waves away the rights for any contract terms. So essentially, you sign a 1 year contract, but because Russia has the mobilization law in place, the terms are waived. So, so anyone that signs a 1 year contract in Russia is hired to be a contract soldier for life, or until Russia loses. So it's like this. And it's been happening and will be happening. And you need to understand that a lot of these 18, 19 year old guys, they are like, I mean, try to remember yourself at that age. Like, there could have been people, and Russia is pretty good at propaganda. If someone would actually approach you psychologically, give you both a stick and a carrot, there's a good chance that you will just go and join. And that's what's happening. Mm-hmm. Asprika. Don't forget, Russia has no longer cheap oil to dig. Oh, yeah, that's true, actually. So Russian oil is extremely difficult to get. We think about Russia and we think Russia is like some kind of a oil mega power, and that's sort of a true. Like, there's a big asterisk. The only way that Russia is a big oil superpower is because they were oil superpower based in the one of the world's empires, the Soviet Empire. And they basically just use whatever was built by the Soviet Empire. And during 90s, when Russia opened up, that's when the Western companies that had the technological knowledge on how to work with difficult oil sources, they were able then to set up these oil facilities. But a lot of these oil facilities, are slowly but surely running out, and the oil that needs to be found and extracted later on is a lot harder to extract. So Russia actually is not as invincible in their oil, but I think Ukraine proved that many times over. But I don't think that this will be the primary driver. I don't feel that Russia enabling to extract oil is going to be the main pressure driver. Tosunabe, barrage balloon, World War era, and tie-down balloons can carry steel cables to catch low-flying aircraft. Could they help protect Ukrainian cities from Shahid drones? A lot of balloon technology has been tried out, and it hasn't been adopted. And I don't know the answer specifically for your inquiry, Tosun, but I know that it has been tried out, something like this. So most likely it just doesn't work. Corneli Zamagre, they said US is supporting more intelligence also. What's your impression about the intelligence level and effect at the moment? Also, how Europe ramping up intelligence? Very slow, I guess. Okay, so unfortunately, I got access to some of the intelligence, and I cannot talk about it publicly. Well, it's like it's not like secret information or anything. Like, I don't have any secret access, but I've seen certain things that probably a regular person didn't see, but I don't think it's like a big secret. But still, my own OSINT, like, it hasn't been covered on Russian Telegram channels, so I will not talk about it. Not OSINT, but what is it called, the Operational Security OPSEC. So because it wasn't covered on Russian Telegram channels, I cannot really talk about intelligence and what is being done and what intelligence is being supplied, from what I know. But Europe is definitely ramping up, and they're mirroring a lot of the US capabilities already. They are having a bit of trouble, specifically when it comes to Russia. They don't have such an extended satellite coverage, but they're working on it. There's already, like, I definitely for sure know that European space is working on this. To Blobsy, how long can Ukraine play his army without financials? How long can they keep the line? Blobsy asks how long Ukraine can support financial support without financial support from Europe. It's a weird question, because like that's like asking is like, well, how fast Ukraine would lose if Ukraine would lose. You know, it's like it doesn't make sense. Like Europe, the whole point is that like Ukraine is basically channeling the European resistance, right? And European resistance is only growing. We don't see a fall in European resistance. Even the biggest like, how do we say, people that were resisting supporting Ukraine, we see them getting now behind, like Slovakia. You know, it's like there is like support package coming from Slovakia to Ukraine. It's not military, but still. Czechia, newly elected leader of Czechia, says like, we're not going to support Ukraine militarily directly, but we will consider as part of the European packages. You know, so it's kind of like, is like how fast Europe can fall if Europe decides to fall. It's a question without, like, I don't find this question interesting because it doesn't have any substance in it. Europe already decided. Like, we in Europe rock solidly decided that we're gonna fuck up Russia. Like, and Europe is a slow moving machine. Like, it takes us a while to turn our directions one way rather than the other. But we now are fully on the path to fully decoupling from Russia and fully investing in our own defense and Ukrainian defense. We have the tools now. And Ukraine is being flooded with European weapons and European money. Because a lot of politicians, not full societies, there are still people in our societies that still haven't gotten, but majority of layers of politicians in Europe have gotten the message that now it's existential. Yeah, what happens if Europe collapses? Yeah, exactly, Paddy. Great point. Zach, welcome to Brother in Arms. Appreciate it. Smash, thank you so much for 10 gifted memberships. Thank you so much. Appreciate it so much. Aussie, thank you so much for 29 months. Really, really nice that you're staying with me for so long. Thank you, my friend. Thanks, Georgie. Thanks, mods. Thanks, chat. Love Ukraine. Yes. David, are you tired or bored? More calm, less cursing, losing the heat, bro? Or is this the new tactics? I'm definitely not tired. Bored? Absolutely not. I've never been so focused in my life. Like, I will talk about it soon, but like, I've been, this year specifically, I've been the hawk. I was like just rock solidly focusing on the target, like what we need to do, what I can do, what needs to be done to make effort, and like, and the payoff is coming, and it's gonna be fantastic. So that is the one. With more calm, less cursing. My biggest issue was like why I was angry. Like, you guys followed me here. Why I was angry? I was angry mostly because we Europeans did not do what needed to be done, right? We had politicians that were flopping around, we're Scholzing around, so to say. We had countries that were doing jack shit to support Ukraine. We were buying Russian oil nonstop. But hey, I also try to be honest. My biggest frustrations a lot of times have been addressed. Let's acknowledge that. I want us all to acknowledge that where we were 2 years ago, trying to offer Putin an off-ramp, calling Putin and asking, hey, Vladik, are you ready to sign some peace yet or not? We're far away from that. We're now stating it's like Russia is sending drones, like, and we're now asking our politicians, like, the fuck you doing? Like, why do we have no response? It's like, now it's not me saying this. Like, so the point is, I'm a small guy. Like, you know, like I'm obviously not for YouTube, right? But like even for YouTube, you know, like I'm not the biggest YouTuber, not the most influential. We do good job, right? But it's not like I'm oh, who is the like the impressive, like Joe, sorry, Joe, my god, Jesus Christ, Jake Bro. It's because like Jake and Bro I put together. So there we go. Jake Bro, you know, the guy that's literally has been like on the news, that is literally contributing like multi-million support, that can rally people like with the snap of his fingers and so on. It's like, I'm definitely not that there. Like we're definitely not there. I have a fantastic community. I know what we're doing. We're doing it great. You guys are fabulous. Love you for that. But now the things that I was saying 3 years ago finally are starting to be said by the people in power, and people that have, you know, names behind them and that have worked for their names. So it doesn't have to be a YouTuber yelling about it. I can just read news about someone else stating, is like, what are we doing? It's like, because in our Danish parliament, like when we get the when we got the drones flying over, I was about to explode and says like, now you get me, now you get me. And then I hear it's like there was like a meeting with some of the army guys and so on, and they were like basically saying, it's like, the fuck is this? How are we allowing this? What are we doing? So that is my point. Europe has shifted. I have never been more aligned with how Europeans look at things ever before. Do I still get some frustrations? Oh, for sure, easily. But yeah, you know. Bromstan, do you feel that Ukraine is getting more and more united, or do you see signs of fragmentation among the people? I think there is fragmentation in Ukrainian society, but I think that this is also because this year was extremely difficult. Like, this year was very, very difficult for Ukrainians. And I do feel that everyone is eager for at least some victories. Like, everyone needs some victories. And the fact that the US is now, quote unquote, on Ukrainian side, like, without digging into discussion about for how long and when there's going to be potential reversal of this, but it definitely motivated a lot of Ukrainians. I hear a lot more good stuff, but people are persevering. It's not easy. Like, it's definitely tough, but yeah, stuff happens. Joshua Reisen, when is Ukraine going after the Russian presidential palace? Don't know. Tosunabe, can Ukraine use balloons? I already answered that. Altruistic Viking, regarding the Tomahawks, why the fuss? IMO, they bring nothing new, no new capabilities. No, it's because it's the Tomahawks. That's the whole thing. Like, that's the only thing. Altruistic Viking, it is the Tomahawks, and that's why everyone is kind of just talking about it, because it's like one of the primary weapon of I mean, like, is it Tomahawks that are bringing the nuclear capabilities? Correct me, please. No, it was Trident, right? No, wait. Oh my God, shit. I'm now getting confused with my missiles. I think Tomahawks had at least some nuclear capability. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. Like, I may be completely off, but definitely it's like, it's the name that's like, you know, stands out. It's like the same time when I said that Patriots was instilling fear in Russian, and it was instilling, it still is. And Patriots was really, really, really good. Tomahawks kind of has the same vibe, you know. It's a big deal, you know. So when US is gonna, for example, give Tomahawks to Ukraine, that's kind of like, yeah, it's like, we want you to fuck Russians up, you know. It sends a message, but other than that, they don't bring any major capabilities besides additional mass, so Ukraine can just do more generally. Nico Padim, sorry for butchering your name, my friend. Hi, lots of questions about during the war, which is good, but what about next, after the war, rebuilding and such? There is gazillions of money standing behind and waiting until the war in Ukraine ends so they can invest in Ukraine. Ukraine is in financial community has now became this darling. Everyone is like eager to jump it. It's like, so investment community is stupidly interesting. You know, there's like, because investors are they have this herd instinct, you know. They kind of like look at things and they're not sure whether they want to invest or not. And then someone finally invests, you know, and then like as one invests, then second invests, and then just kind of it's the flood. And then the people start investing nonstop. And this is kind of the same principle. A lot of people were kind of not aware whether or not they want to invest into Ukraine post-war, but there were certain very high-level countries and investment funds that came out very openly that they will invest in Ukraine no matter what. And a lot of people, they're like kind of like, oh shit, I better do that as well, because like, you know, I don't want to be on the sidelines. So it's now a herd instinct that I 100% know that there is like just people waiting until there's going to be any kind of like safety, and they will just start flooding Ukraine with money. Ukraine is going to be bigger recovery than Germany was post World War II. Von Delta, is Ukraine going to be able to recover their population after the war ends, which is declining birth rate, era several millions women and children have left, and many will return? No, I don't think Ukraine will fully recover their population. I think Ukraine will be population-wise a lot smaller country, but who knows? Maybe if they become like prime investment area, maybe a lot of workers will come in as migrants. Who knows? Caitlin, Catalin, sorry. Oh my God, why I always butcher your name? Sorry, my man. How can Russia's Shahid production be cut more efficiently? How can Ukraine allies better help with that? Tomahawks? John Hochman, how do you know American? Do you know how many American Bradleys are still in Houston, Ukraine? I don't. Cornelis Zangbergen, do you expect Russian provocations to Europe will develop after the extensive drone visits? Do you assess the European response mediocre or bad? I think European response is pretty bad. But I think the drone incursion, the way that Putin did, was also super stupid. And I think Putin shot himself in the foot by doing that. Geoff, do you have any info on how many POWs Ukraine is now holding? Couple thousand. Frost T. Hammer, how close are Belarus and Georgia to changing sides? Lukashenko has invited US observers and Georgian leaders was at the latest European meeting. Lukashenko will not switch sides. Like, if you truly believe that Lukashenko does it, then I have a bridge to sell. Georgian leaders, Georgia is stuck because while their government is pro-Russian, the absolute majority of people are not. Kaimo, have you heard about Alexander Vucic dissatisfaction with the Gazprom gas contract? Yeah, it's Serbian power politics. Don't care. G. Horvat, Ukraine is playing a long-term game to stop Putin. Why Russian mass production overwhelm Ukraine before Ukraine's strategy is successful? No, Russian mass production will not overwhelm Ukraine before Ukraine is successful because Ukraine is growing their mass production. If you haven't noticed, Ukraine has been growing their capabilities, and they've been growing their capabilities at higher rate than Russia is growing. They're still catching up to Russia. That's why Russia still has more capabilities, but Ukrainian capabilities are growing. So, and this is not good news for Russia. Russia can never overcome the joint financial and economic power of Europe and Ukraine. It is impossible. It is literally impossible. And my problem from day one was that Europeans are just not committed enough. We are now. You know they exist. Georgia, there is a recent talk of new gold reserves discovered in China, very massive. Does this immediately impact Russia for trading gold for China for weapons materials? Ruble is garbage, of course. No, it doesn't impact. I mean, it's like it's in China, right? So it's China. How does this impact Russia? It doesn't. Von Delta, do you believe that Russia can be brought to negotiations, or will they have to collapse as the society for Ukraine to win? I believe they need to collapse the society. Tosunabe, make smaller balloons or put nets between cables. Again, I answer this question. If it has been done by Ukrainians, then potentially it's not working. Again, a lot of things have been happening in Ukraine. A lot. Cartoon fan, shouldn't Elvira Nabiulina be primary target for Ukraine as one of the few competent officials in Moscow? Yeah, kinda, but Ukraine is really trying to keep their image. They don't want to, because she is considered a civilian, you know? Shimra, I'm tired of endless Western media clickbait of Russians waking up or Putin losing support or whatever. It's BS. The normal Russian believes they're at war with the evil West and support it. True. 100% true. Lucky Blue, when it comes for the daily air raids, is Ukraine struggling with detection or primarily interception? No. So there are three types of air raids in Ukraine. There is the drone air raids, there is the MiG-31 air raids, it's the Kinjal carrier, and then there is the ballistic missiles. The most dangerous is the ballistic missiles. Because ballistic missiles is like you have basically just seconds to hide anywhere. It's really dangerous. I remember a morning when I was in Kiev. There was a morning on the spring, and at the spring, I got notification while I was drinking my morning coffee, and I remember I was just staying there. The air alarms are going off, but I'm in Kiev. I don't care. I want my coffee. Before I get my coffee, I'm not moving anywhere. And then I get about 20 seconds later, I get notification on my phone, explosions in Sumy. And that was like when a lot of people that stood in front of the church got hit by a Russian ballistic missile. Like a lot of the babushkas and just older people. 20 seconds from air alert sounding off, me taking a sip of coffee, and getting a notification of someone posting that there was an explosion in Sumy. In the beginning, there was rumors about Russian mobile crematories. Anyone heard about this ones again? There's like a super crematorium built in St. Petersburg, but now Russians, I don't think they even bother collecting their bodies. I mean, there was this case when Russia sent their dead soldiers to Ukraine, saying those are Ukrainians, and then Ukrainians had to identify them as Russians and send back. Cornelis Zanberg, does Europe still imports Russian energy with the support of Ukraine? What the fuck is defunding Russia? Does Trump has a point here? I'm not sure that there is transit through Ukraine anymore. I think the last pipeline has been now blown up. I don't think there is a transit through Ukraine anymore. Correct me if I'm wrong. But Europe still buys it and so on, and because Ukraine doesn't want to anger Europe, then potentially they're still supporting. Mariolo Kuyam, why some Europeans still buy Russian oil? Because they like Russian cheap energy and don't care about morals. JD the Machine, what's the newest on Russia's new wall? I don't know what you're talking about. Non-alone stunned muffin. What do you think end of war looks like? We talked about the end of the war already. Devrim Korkmaz, Tosunabe, how I know you, Abi, but there are you. Okay, something differently. Awesome HPT. How is the ammunition situation for Ukraine compared to last year's? They generally have enough. It's a lot better. I mean, there's always a possibility to do more, but it is better in a large sense because Ukrainian production has increased. The Czech procurement scheme is very efficient, and prevalence of artillery has dropped down a lot. Artillery has its place still on the front line, but a lot of the work that used to be done by artillery is now being taken over by drones. So, it balances itself out. And drones don't use as much ammunition compared to, for example, artillery. One artillery shell, if it's just cut open and just the explosives are taken out of it, it can really support many drones attacks. So it's pretty good. Cornelis, discussions about a no-fly zone again. Do you expect something or is just a fluff again? I expect fluff. Because no-fly zone, like, it needs balls. I still don't see enough balls in European politicians. Do you know if Ukraine makes their own cluster munitions? Yes. Can and will Ukraine stop the power supply in Moscow and other big cities? Potentially, yeah. Bernd, would JASM not be a better option than Tomahawk? They have no land-based launchers, I heard. I mean, JASM don't have, like, I already explained that the capabilities that Tomahawk is bringing is not what is the crucial here. The crucial here is, like, it's the Tomahawks. That's the point. JASM is kind of like, Gazunda, I was like, bless you. It's like, Mish Ashdown, have the Russians railheads have been pushed back from the front lines? Maybe. El Capitan PDX, what's the plan for a launch platform for Tomahawks? Let's not rush. Don't push the horses with Tomahawks. Peter Mikhailovsky, what is your assessment of the openly pro-Russian parties in Europe, such as AfD, BSW in Germany, the Bulgarian Russophiles, the Czech party, the Japanese guy? How about Farage into United Kingdom? It's a big problem for us in UK. It's a problem because we still don't fully grasp the existential part of this. But my biggest problem was that the current politicians couldn't grasp this. But it is what it is. Like, I mean, what can I do? Like, this is not something we can really influence. Like, it's a political movement. Like, I can try saying, like, don't listen to populists, but then people repost like AI generated videos about some I don't know, like whatever, like, like Zelensky eating a baby and something like this, and says, ah, ha ha ha, look at that. Like, Fidesz in Hungary is pretty much neck and neck with the opposition party. So when people says like, oh, Orban is going to be deposed next year if in Hungary, I was like, nope, I don't think so. So far, it doesn't look like it. So it's bad. It's really bad that we're still having this issue. We're still not there. But I mean, in even countries like Latvia, my homeland, though I'm not sure like if I can call Latvia my homeland anymore. I've been living 13 years in Denmark. But I guess like, yeah, someone asked a question correctly. It's like how do you decide like which country is your homeland? It's like, imagine you have a hockey team like on Latvia and Denmark. Like, who do you support? And obviously I would support Latvia. Obviously substitute hockey for any sport that's popular in your country. I don't know, cricket. Morocco, how can Donbas Doni didn't get his Nobel Peace Prize? I don't care, to be honest. Like, I stopped analyzing Trump. I leave it to people that are American and so on. My position, I don't see Trump as an ally of Europe. That's why, like, any kind of requests for Trump and expectations of Trump, I've dropped. The same kind of that I dropped any expectations, for example, for Turkey. Like, I'm not sitting here every week talking about, oh my God, Erdogan is not doing this or that, because I don't consider him an ally. But Erdogan is still useful. He's still doing certain things that support Ukraine. Many countries, many in the world are supporting Ukraine. So the same kind of I look at Trump. So I stopped analyzing. This is U.S. issue, unrelated, and the only thing that I'm happy is that the population of United States are still seeing their country as a supporter of Ukraine. But the government, I cannot see it this way. That's why I stopped analyzing who, what, why, when, why, and so on. Trump. I don't care. I care about Ukraine. Crazy, crazy, crazy. What happened to your investment projects in the early days? You proposed some project after the war. Okay, let's talk about the project and investment. Very, very soon. Okay, I know I talked this before. Very soon, we will finally reveal things. We got a bit of delay because of the bureaucracy. It's very annoying. I hate dealing with bureaucracy, especially Ukrainian bureaucracy, but we're getting there. So we're done with bureaucracy. We're like 98% done. There's like 2%. If all stars come together, then already next week we'll be able to make the announcement. I hope they will. If not, then maybe a week after. But we're there. We're there. We did everything that we needed to do. It's going to be really, really huge, and I love it. So that's when I will be able to talk more about the project. Is it good? It's good. Is it potentially great? Oh, you fucking bet it is. And some of the reasons, for example, why we delayed that project is because it got greater and greater and greater. Because our initial goal was relatively small, like small scale. That's why I was like, yeah, okay, sure, we can do it easily within like half a year. And by summer, we're already going to release. But then as I went around, met people, started talking, got into some contacts with Ukraine, and then it's kind of like, whoa, 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 wow. Now it's just, it's literally, it's going to have actual serious impact. So I will be glad to unveil it, hopefully next week. But we'll see. We're almost there. Literally, we prepared a lot of stuff, and it's now like full support, officially, all the good stuffs. Very soon. I had dealing with bureaucracy. Okay, I'm gonna correct it. So I love bureaucracy. I mean, my governance, my background is data governance. I love dealing with SOPs, paperwork, like all of this shit. It's like, it's the best. It's the most boring job ever. I loved it. Like, I've loved every second of me working in that position, because I've never felt more safe in my position when I was working as a data governance specialist, because no one wanted to do that shit. No one wanted to go through SOPs, to correct the term definitions, to go through all of the different what is the metadata assignments. Absolutely zero people wanted to do that, and I loved every second of it. It was the best shit ever. Like, if I would be able to work, I would work this until the end of my life. Fantastic. But when bureaucracy is just foreign to me, then it's frustrating that, like, I didn't do a certain things, like I didn't feel certain aisles that I was supposed to do, and it's just frustrating to redo it. But that's how it is. So that's what I meant. Data governance. Someone must love technical writing. Oh boy, you betcha. All right. Let's go more questions. Joe is asking, the problem with Russian is criminal elements run everything bottom to top. Yeah, true. Devrim says, when will Europe begin a Legionnaire army of their own? It's already active in Poland, for sure. But a lot of the governments have the unspoken programs anyway. That's not a secret. Steve, what is the news regarding Estonia and NATO on high alert? Is this something new? Let me Google Estonia alert. 11 hours ago. Let's see. Estonia closes roads through Russian territory due to the pressure of Russian troops. Tallinn, Estonia. Estonia has temporarily closed access for its citizens to road they normally use that passes through a stretch of Russian territory after the Interior Minister reported a group
Hi,
of Russian
everyone, and
soldiers
thank you
standing
so
there.
much for streaming
Estonian
with us.
Public
I'm Rena
Broadcaster said
Roy,
it.
and welcome
so
to ABC
a
News.
couple of soldiers appeared there, and Estonia closed the border. Doesn't seem too bad for me. Kaima, do we know what the Eastern European drone wall should look like and what it should consist of, or are they just political debates without a real plan, as Fico said? No. The Eastern Europeans know really well. I've been to Eastern Europe. I've been to Baltic specifically as well. I've talked with both drone producers and the government representatives. They are pretty clear-eyed on what they need to do. Like, they are really, really, really on top of this. But do you have any information on Russia and China jamming Western military satellites? No, I don't have any info. I know what you're referring to. I've read the article, but I don't have anything beyond that. Cornelis Zandberger, last time I tracked number of Patriot full system units, Ukraine had about 10 plus SMT. A lot of new seems incoming. What's your OSINT info about the take on Patriot system? Seems Israel sent some too. We have one known public from Israel. The rest, I mean, if they haven't been disclosed, then it's not for me to disclose. And you actually outlined here the majority of this. Cornelis, my last one for now. What is the main problem for Ukraine at this stage of the war? Cohesion in the society, desertion rates, and command and control. Non-alone stun muffin. Pipeline is fixed and Russia pays Ukraine fees on it. Hungary benefits, so it's hard for them to piss off Ukraine or Russia. So Druzhba pipeline has been fixed. Well, if it's been fixed, then potentially it's going to be targeted once again. Devrim Korkmaz, bro, seriously. I need to reread this. Devrim is writing, and I'm going to read it as it is. Bro, seriously, Poland, question mark. Maybe? Ed Jones, what plans do you have to celebrate Ukraine's victory? Let's not get there. Like, we need to work towards victory. The work is not over yet. I will celebrate when the victory comes. Okay? All right, that was fun. I'll close down the questions. Guys, thank you so much for all of these amazing questions. We'll continue just talking in chat. And then let's give it additional 15 minutes. And then we're going to wrap this up today so it's not too long for people that are going to be watching it later on. Thank you so much for all of the amazing questions. It's really fantastic that over 1,500 of you made it here today. Hello? Why I cannot stop? Okay. Okay, apparently I cannot stop the questions, so the questions never stop, I guess. So we'll see. But let's just talk. Let's just talk. I haven't been. Thank you so much for the 200,000. By the way, I really appreciate. I actually made a video today recording because today I had more or less day that I could to dedicate to actually doing something. But I can show you. I butchered it completely. It is hilarious. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Yes. Sound off. Let's see. Can I capture this one? Is it possible? Okay, no, I need to capture, I guess, the whole thing. Yeah, I tried to kind of do the window capture, but I guess it's I need to capture the screen capture. Display capture. There we go. Nope, wrong one. This one. There we go. You see, Yeah, yeah, super. That was a super video. Wow, fantastic. I took the video where it was like nothing there. Okay, let me take a bigger. Oh, this is a big file. There we go. Yeah, there we go. So you see, like I forgot to turn on the autofocus, so the whole thing is just completely mushed. So it's like it's out of focus. But hey, it's a nice image on top of the sea. So where's that huge fish I caught? It's not there. I actually have. Hopefully I will use this. Um, there was like I made some B-roll, you know, for me fishing for this one. Is it this one? I don't know. Yeah, there we go. There we go. You see that? Pro fisher, yo. Good stuff. But yeah, I basically butchered the focus. So the whole thing is just blurry. Like I had like 5 beers extra and dirty glasses on. GoPro makes you chubby. No, no. I am just generally chubby. I'm fat. I'm really fat. I mean, this year I worked a little bit on myself. I was able to drop 10 kilos. I was like 100 kilos with 176 centimeters tall, so not very tall. Was 100 kilos. I was able to drop now to 89 this year, and I will now try to do maintenance during winter, and then hopefully we'll do another cut starting next spring. My goal is about 80, so I need like 10 kilos more. What is this? Last year, Russia butter started. Wait, what? John saying last year in Russia, butter started to become scarce and unaffordable. In the US, nearly 40 tons of butter had to be recalled because the label failed to indicate that it's made from milk. Shit. Not bad. Ali says, I found the weight you lost, G. Take it back. Nice, nice. 176 is not short. Man, I live in Denmark. Like 176 is like midget size. Like every time I buy pants, I'm like they're like you know like this how do you say like this animated skit. You know when a kid tries grown up pants and then he kind of stands and they still are kind of dragging on the floor. I think in Denmark people are prohibited to be born that are under 190 or like 100, at least 185. You know like you need to be minimum 185. Denmark so tall, like I mean, like I got neck pain interacting with the Danes. It's like any people that lived in the Netherlands could understand me. It's the same shit. Is it possible to hit internet infrastructure of Russia? Not really. Servers by their nature are usually underground. So a lot of servers usually are just generally stored underground. Yeah. I'm now Jackal says I'm 196. I am the Netherlands. I'm from the Netherlands. Yes. I'm average size. Yes. Yes. True. No. 176. Like from where I come from Latvia, that's okay. You know, it's like, is it high? No. It's not. Like, I mean, Latvian's also pretty high, pretty tall, but I was still 176 was okay in Latvia. In Denmark, not so much. Scott Moore, what are the prospects for Ukrainian counteroffensive 2026? Prospects for 26 more the same 25 in the new year. I think Ukraine needs to solve their manpower issues. Like any counteroffensive that we need to go is need to go off of from their counteroffensive is the manpower. So until that's addressed, it's so on. Beer, wine, or whiskey? Beer. I'm from Denmark, man. Like it doesn't matter what I drank before coming to Denmark, but I came to Denmark, so it's like bad marks. Okay, so Danish insights. All of the Danes in chat will laugh. So there is one extremely important philosophical question that you need to answer in Denmark if you're going to be staying here. It is a question that defines you as a person completely, like from what type of friends you're gonna get to like where you're gonna end up when you're like 75. And that question is it classic or pilsner? That is the type of beer you're drinking. Because in Denmark there's like two types of beer that everyone drinks. It's either classic or pilsner. And it's either one or the other. It cannot be both. You cannot switch. That's not how it works. But it's either classic or pilsner. And it's classic for me. Devrim Korkmaz, Erdogan is our fault, but yes, not mine personally. I understand why you're called as not typo around. Yes. Carlsberg. No, not Carl. I mean, even Carlsberg. Even Carlsberg has classic and pilsner. Yes. Is there Carlsberg classic or is it like Tuborg? Let me see if I can find. I'll try to find the picture. Give me a second. So to illustrate you, Carlsberg classic. Yes. There we go. Wait, why is Tuborg? I guess it's Tuborg. It's fine. I mean, Tuborg is owned by Carlsberg, is it not? So whatever. But yes, this is what you need to drink. Yes, there we go. This one. That's the one. That's the one. But to be honest, it's a very 50-50 beer. That's a 50-50 beer. That's the beer that about 90%, okay, not 90, because there are people that drink Pilsner. But all of the people that drink classic drink this one. But people that live where I live, they know better. They have a local good classic. It's called Odense Classic. Yeah, this bitch. It's a good one. This is probably one of the better mass-produced beers that I've tried. Like, it's really good. It's really good. Tuborg Gold is a bit too rough for me. Like, I tried Tuborg Gold. It didn't really vibe with me. But this one did. This one is pretty good. Once a classic is better. Yeah, for sure. 100%. I have a 6-pack of beer. Yeah. That's the only six-pack I've seen in years, you know. except for the 6-packs of the guys in the shower. Oh my gosh, we're going there somewhere. Shit. Looks like a ripoff of Heineken. I'm not sure about that. Who farts louder, Danes or Latvians? Danes, 100%. Danes have a lot less of social barriers on what it requires to be like, and like this is not me dissing on Danes. I actually really approve of that. I think like farting is like nothing to be ashamed of, thankfully. And I believe a lot of Danes are kind of in the same category, at least when they get a couple of beers in. Latvians, sometimes it's still like 50-50. But Danes are a lot more loose than that. Like, they can have a good laugh. All right, we're getting somewhere else. Let's do... and actually, yeah, a couple of more minutes, and then we're gonna wrap it up. Guys, thank you so much for today. It's been really fantastic. I loved every second of it. Really nice that we were able to have this a bit of chat. I'm hoping I will do the 200,000 video, but I will need to go out fishing again if I want to recreate the video. And hopefully this time I will be able to find the autofocus feature, so it's not blurry and shit. In any case, guys, I love you. trust in Ukraine, trust in Ukrainian armed forces. We're gonna reveal the project and we're gonna use it to support Ukraine as much as we can. It's gonna be fantastic. I love it so much. And I love you guys. I love the moderating team. And I love the news team. Let's give a hand to them and to ourselves. Stay in support of Ukraine. Slava Ukraini, and I'll see you next time. That was the longest ending I've said in my lifetime, I think. Jesus.